in a world where we can smile when our batteries are low, because we would be one bar closer to humanity.
Yeah, I think there's nothing as more true and as more relevant, especially to the generation that we in now.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the reason I think the way it's so profound is because also there's a quote that also says you must do things that make you forget that you have a phone as well.
Oh wow.
And
Yeah, that is very, I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use that. You know, I try as much as possible to connect to humanity. You know, more often than not, I usually just, you know, if I don't have like very important things to do, because also we need our phones, because some of our jobs rely on our phones. So once in a while I try to just, you know, put my phone away and just connect to humanity. You know, you find a group of young people sitting and not having conversations, but they're just on their phones. Funny enough, like that's not how things are gonna change, you know, because we need to have conversations, we need to come up with solutions, we need that. But if we are constantly on our phones and not really even opening up or having conversations that may, you know, bring new ideas to come up with better ideas to rather change whatever situation that we're facing in the modern day, then I think
very true. And I remember that there was a time before Albert Einstein died. He actually said that the day that technology takes over the world will be the day where every person will become a fool. And in that point in time, it really didn't make sense. But now, because we are becoming the so-called fools in a way, because we using very smartphones, you know,
very smartphones,
very updated, but to us we remain an old version of the very same person we were before, and the only thing we depend on, or the only thing we're using now, is literally filters, just so we appear good and better to the people that are gonna like the things that we post and share on our statuses. But the question again comes, we would say, when you are actually by yourself and there's no one to like the things that you post, are you as true to yourself, just like when you are naked before you sleep or before taking a bath as well? And profoundly so, because to understand, I mean, I lost my phone this weekend and I noticed something. I managed to actually communicate with people that I needed the most, and I could literally have a conversation with them via call. And even when I met Sam just this Monday, it was easier for me to talk because I had nothing that had to distract me in a way. So yes, the phones are really making life better, but at the same time, we cannot forget the next person simply because we have data. Just like why most teenagers will literally feel depressed or feel alone by literally getting that message that your data is depleted. It simply shows how much we have really given up our lives and souls to literally
a mere phone, a mere gadget. You understand?
Imagine.
It is,
and you're saying?
It is. I mean, it is absolutely really sad. You know, the kind of power this thing has, and it is also very much interesting that, you know, in the new era that we are walking into with the fourth industrial revolution, it idolizes and really encourages us to, you know, go after this and really make this our daily mojo and live up to it for some weird reason. And you know, I guess the question that what I'm really getting to is, you know, is how can we really trust that the fourth industrial revolution will not destroy humanity?
The honest truth is that it will, because there's a thing called dopamine. So dopamine is like when a person who uses chemicals, be it drugs or alcohol, they always need it to refill themselves and to fill themselves. So what really happens that we grow up having a very deeper void, you know, in a sense that even when you are on your WhatsApp or your Facebook, especially when you're on WhatsApp and you turn on your mobile data, you get 2 SMSs from only 2 people, and then you ask yourself, where is everyone? Why is not anyone texting me? Then what you do is that you go to your contacts and send hi to everyone. Then once you have like 12 messages or 15, you start to feel the sense, I don't know, you feel very happy, you feel yourself
seeking validation from other people, and the kind of validation that we seek is also wrong, because you seek validation to be liked, to be appreciated by people who actually do not like you. You're just, you know, enforcing it. It goes back to indoctrination, you know, the saying indoctrination, and the kind of ideas and messages society instills in you, and you grow by it, and at the end of the day when you wake up it's already too late. You can't unlearn that. You can't unlearn that. It's very late because it has done more damage than good.
So I think perhaps if we were to speak of humanity within an era that we're going into, it will be a matter of how can we then utilize these platforms to create maybe groups, or to create, I don't know, pages where young people can literally find people within their community. Because what's happening now is that we honestly fail to express ourselves on a physical, meeting someone physical, because when you ask a young person, so how are you, or how can you do something like this, they will tell you one thing: I'm very shy. But get their name and surname and go to any social media platform, you realize how much bubbly, how much extrovert they are. So it shows also, it boils down to a matter of lack of identity as well, and not just lack of identity, lack of realizing what is the foundation laid for the child. So you literally grow up, maybe you didn't have parents, or you literally coming from, be it whatever community, then what happens is that you got this cell phone, it gave you dopamine, you started to meet people, you started to get love and appreciation and all those things. Then
in also the wrong way, the kind of love that you might be getting.
Exactly. So it boils down to lack of identity, because it's funny how literally when we mention this thing of, listen, somehow, somewhere you got to invest in your personal development, but to them it's like, personal development, that's not for me. As long as I have my phone and I can meet up my friends on the weekend, it's really okay. Because the only way one will survive within the fourth industrial revolution is if first you know yourself and you know what you're doing, then you use phones and all these things to communicate with people that can either help you go forward or whatever the case might be. But right now the fact is, you don't know who you are, you're meeting people you don't know, and they give you this certain love and belonging in which it doesn't really exist in real world. So you're literally in a fantasy world but living in a reality that is broken as well. So it's a very, it's a different place we're going into. But
it makes me actually very scared, technically speaking, with it, having to, it's going to create more jobs on that. But a lot of people are going to be losing their jobs as well, because there's not, in South Africa, we know we do not have enough training for the people who are, already employed within the technology, industry, that they would actually know how to operate further within that industry, because it's already in our midst already. Fourth industrial revolution already, it's in our midst. Artificial intelligence, it is happening, it is here, it is scary. People are going to be losing their jobs, especially our older people, because it's sad. Some of them might find themselves really before pension time. Because it's frustrating. You can even see with your phone, a smartphone, there are times where there are things that you can actually not crack, and it's really frustrating when you can't do it. Imagine an older person being introduced to some machine that has to help them do something, and they can't operate it, and it's actually the easiest and quickest way, the most convenient way, but they can't actually use it. It's tough. It's going to be tough. In as much as it's positive, but for on my side, personally, I see very little positivity within it. But I'm just, me being a positive person, I'm just gonna, just allow things to be and really speak things into existence. And this fourth industrial revolution will find me ready, and I'm gonna learn as much as possible so that it can work for me as well.
Very true, because Nami, as a person who studied history in high school, because the key word in all of this is revolution. So obviously, revolution is basically a change, be it in politics, social state of life, and also the economic state. And most of the time when a revolution comes, the first impact that we see is on the social state of people. And that's why the social state is literally this one that you just said. You would see when the battery gets to 1%, we're closer to humanity or something.
Yeah, we are about closer to humanity. That means we should be smiling.
Exactly.
People get depressed when their phones are not working. People get depressed. That is an opportunity to, go out there and reintroduce yourself to humanity and just allow humanity to do what it has to do.
True.
You
So
understand?
it's only those who have prepared for the change and those who are willing to adapt to the change will definitely survive. But for those who are deciding to not be ready, just like we made mention earlier on, and those who decide to just say, you know what, I'll just let nature take over myself, because nature right